Welcome back to the NRL Fantasy Flog. That's JL. I'm Rayner. So JL, what have you been up to this week?
Hey mate. So this week had a pretty big week. Got a new whippersnipper.
Yeah.
From one of those Ryobi ones where you plug in the batteries and you can use the batteries for everything. It's fantastic. Ryobi, well done.
Free stuff.
Yeah. It's fantastic. My edges are looking as sharp as the Cowboys' right edge, if you will. Which is a nice segue into the trials on the weekend, which it's great to watch on footy again. So we'll talk about the trials a little bit.
Yep, I didn't watch much, but talk about what we did see.
Yeah, so the Cowboys Storm, big news out of that. While Kyle Belt scored a hat-trick and JT did quite well, I think the big news is the injuries, possibly.
Yeah, there's a few injuries.
So Kane Leonard got a pec injury, needs surgery, he's out for like 3 months, which means possible replacement is
David Bowen,
and he's been pretty solid in the past.
Yep.
But he's awkwardly
maybe
priced.
a little overpriced for this time of year, but
400 plus. Coot got a hamstring injury, but I think he'd be right for round one. And the Storm had Hughes, but he wasn't going to be their starting fullback anyway. Slater's sort of in out, and Bromwich didn't play again due to a bit of a virus
or a nose infection.
Nose infection.
Bit sick.
Well done. So that's it from that first one. Broncos PNG
I didn't watch it at all.
I didn't watch any of it. I didn't know it was on.
I heard that Corey Oates played on the wing for a bit,
Yeah.
but and that's not good signs for
those who wanted him as a second row in the centre.
Or for anyone picking up a cheap Broncos winger as well.
Yeah.
Suddenly there's one less space open.
Yeah. And still, I know I said McCulloch was going to play this week. I was wrong. He didn't play. And he's still in doubt for round one. So just a worry for those people who are looking at him as a replacement for Cam Smith. Let's keep an eye on that. Titans Warriors.
Didn't care at all.
Two teams you probably wouldn't watch anyway.
I wouldn't watch if you paid me to.
I heard Green and Johnson combined quite well, so I think they're hopefully in for a better year for the Warriors supporters out there, for the couple. Mannering, like you said, spent some time on the edge, so that was a good call there, mate. As did Ryan James.
Yeah, I find that weird. Just he's the main forward.
Yeah.
And they need someone to lead that team from the front.
Yep.
And sticking him out on the edge, I don't like it. But
okay. Other news from the Warriors: RTS is signed for another 4 years, which probably spells the end of his career.
Yeah,
maybe.
Don't touch him for 4 years.
And Ada Hingano has been released to the Raiders, which is just what they need. Another utility.
Maybe you heard about the two hookers we were talking about last week.
Yeah, well, at least somebody's watching. Without Hingano. Okay, Bulldogs, Panthers. Did you see much of this?
No, I didn't. I was interested to see the forwards and how they all stacked up for Canterbury, but I have to wait and see around one, I suppose, because I didn't watch it at all.
Heard new Brown went alright, which is a worry for Leisha fans, because I want him in my team, but if he takes up too many minutes, I'll have to watch out there. And Panthers were rubbish, I heard. So, Roosters Seagulls played at our home ground. You go and watch it?
No. I'm a Roosters fan, so as normal Roosters fans never turn up to watch the games.
It's probably why they won. But I heard both the Turbo brothers went quite well, and Gerbo in particular, so that's good signs.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Coming back from his pec injury, which is really good. Teddy, a couple of tries late in the game, did really well. And Latrell Mitchell actually went alright.
Yeah.
What do you think about him?
He's a solid centre. I think he'll end up as a solid centre option later in the year.
Yep.
He'll finish as one of the top centres, and kicking goals as well is always handy.
Yeah. I'm actually getting a bit more interested in him, even though I said I wasn't last week.
Maybe not round one, but...
Yeah. Knights Eels, I watched a little bit of this game. I was pretty impressed with a couple of the Parramatta forwards. Brown got his usual amount of tackles, was in most of them, and got a couple of offloads, that's good for him. And Alvaro He's always had potential, but he's been coming off the bench. I think he's going to start this year. Hopefully he gets a few more minutes. He loves to get close to the line, bury his head and get a try as well. Could be the Paul Vaughan of this year.
No, he's not up to that standard.
And a couple of the Knights players, they had some ball early, but they just didn't do anything with it, which is what I'm worried about for the whole season, to be honest.
They're defence as well. They let in a lot of points.
Yeah, definitely. But I thought Watson, Ponga and Griffin, a couple of the blokes we talked about last week, were okay. I'll leave it at that. Sharks, Tigers.
Sharks. Yeah, I didn't really pay much attention to this either.
I watched a little bit of this game. There's some mixed fantasy news out of this, relevant for relevant fantasy players. Tane Milne didn't play. I think he was added to the bench late. I think they're going to go with Eason Masters instead, so that's not good. But
Thompson at fullback was an interesting one.
Yeah,
looks like a good cheap option to start with early in the season.
Base price playing at fullback, even though it's a Tigers team that probably won't score a whole lot of points. You could bank on him making a little bit of money, I think, if he stays there. I think that's the problem. They've got Lola here, and they got him. We don't know.
Apparently he's out of shape and he's not looking that quick, so he may find himself in reserve grade for a bit longer.
Let's hope so. Crossed. Thought Packer was okay and led from the front, led his team out as the captain, but then they all had to run back into the tunnel and the next captain let him out, and then the next and the next.
Just stop.
And another player I wanted to mention from the Tigers, which we didn't mention last week, and rightfully so, it wasn't really on the radar, but he started on the right edge, Robbie Rocco. A couple of years ago, everyone was talking about him.
Yeah, I don't rate him at all.
But he's really cheap. He's dual position, and if he gets that spot ahead of Chris McQueen,
he's never been a top quality fantasy scorer though. So I would steer clear until he puts at least 3 solid weeks on the board.
Yeah, I only noticed him because it was easy to spot with his bald head, and they're good blokes. And for the Sharks, Katoa scored another try, so he's
lock him in.
Yeah, cool. That's it for that one. Last one, Charity Shield. You watched a bit of this?
Yeah, I watched quite a bit. And the Rabbits got up, so I lost my money. Put a bet on the Dragons, but Cook was the standout for me. He played really well. He should start round 1. He should get big minutes if the coach wants to win games.
Yeah. What do you think about Duay?
Yeah, the way he looked really good. He looked like a first grader, and Souths have got a good future with him there.
Yeah.
They just need to find a way to fit him in, I think.
And we learnt to pronounce his name during the week.
Yeah, I learnt from Bossy.
Thanks, Bossy. Still no Cam Murray though. That's a worry for fantasy coaches. I would like to see him. He's got a quad injury. I think he's managing a quad injury, so it doesn't sound good for round 1.
And he's one with injuries, makes you worry.
Yeah, and so he may not get big minutes if he's managing that.
Yeah, he'll probably start on the bench or get some bench time at least when he comes back.
Yep. So, and Dufty, what do you think about Dufty? Everyone's been talking about him.
He's played well in patches, scored a try, dropped a few kicks late on.
Okay.
And yeah.
Cool. So that's the wrap of the trials.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what are we going to talk about this week?
I think we'll have a look at a team that I've put together for round 1, which probably won't be my round 1 team because it'll change when the team lists come out.
Yeah, so we're only 8 days away from team list Tuesday.
Yeah, and that's when all the actual trades will happen. Well, team building will happen when you see who's actually named round 1.
Yeah.
But until then, I've put together a squad just to try and balance it out and see what I like.
What do you got?
So I've gone with Cook as hooker because of his strong Charity Shield performance.
Yeah.
And
so not Cam Smith.
No, not Cam Smith. I was trying to fit him in, but he just costs a lot of money, and I'd have to cut players from elsewhere.
Cook lives up to his pre-season form. I think he'll go close to.
Well, I've got some cover. When I get to the bench, you'll see that. But so front row forwards, I've gone with Lodge and Marty Tapau. One solid one that I know can perform, and obviously Lodge should make some value. In the second row, I've got Gerbo, Trent Merrin, and Bryce Cartwright. Saved a lot of money here.
Oh, not a lot of money. Boo.
Well, Cartwright's fairly cheap.
Yeah, Cartwright is.
Merrin is a couple of $100,000 cheaper than the rest. it's probably weaker than I would like my second row, but that's where I'm going to improve hopefully most of the year.
Yep.
In the halves, I went for Thurston and Brodie Croft.
Yep. Solid combo.
Yeah, I think they'll be players that I hope are keepers by the end of the year. So I'm hoping that I won't have to do many trades at all in that position.
Yep.
In the centres, I've gone to save a lot of money with Tani Milne and Peter Hiku.
I think this was the combo for most people to start with.
I'm not confident on it at all.
I've actually changed my mind on my centres
Yeah.
and the strategy behind that. Mostly because Milne probably won't be there.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. And even Peter Hiku, I'm not sure that he's going to be quite the fantasy scorer that I hope he will be.
I think he'll be a good bench player because of his dual position.
Well, that's my hope as well. Like, if I make some money during the season, I can bring in a better centre and then drop him back to the bench.
Yep.
And in the fullback position, I've gone Tedesco, Katoa, and Caleb Ponga.
My three as well.
I'm very happy with that three starting.
Yep.
So I don't think I can improve that. It's where a lot of the money from Cam Smith has gone to the players like Tedesco and Gerbo and Tapau.
Yep. So you haven't got a lot of guns there. You got three.
Just those three, I think I would call genuine guns.
Quite
There's a few that I'm hopeful will become guns.
Yeah.
Rather than a traditional rookies gun strategy. Because I found trying to put too many guns in there, it meant I had too many rookies on the starting field, which weakened the team significantly.
So more mid-ranges?
Yeah, a lot of mid-ranges. Oh. And there's a lot more mid-ranges on the bench as well. Shut up. So on the bench at the moment, I've got Michael Leisha, Fatala Mariner, Havili, Fanua Blake. Guys I expect to play big minutes in round one, and guys I expect to go up a lot in price.
More mid-ranges.
Yeah, and the rookies on the bench, I've got Croker, Lachlan Croker, Jermaine Asako, Nichols for the South, and Corey Thompson from Tigers. So, again, if they're playing round one, they'll make money. So that's what I've gone with at the moment. It'll probably change because I'm still not happy with the hooker situation. I'm still a bit worried about Cook and Leisha.
Yeah, well, you've got a bit of... How much money have you got left over there?
Well, I've got 235k in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
The reason behind that is I figured I'd save some cash for the first couple of trades in the first couple of rounds because the team will need improving, and it's only after you see them play. Couple of weeks, you'll know who the guns are or who are the players to really get on. So I've left some money there just so I can make some changes.
Yep. I think that... Well, I did that strategy last year and it worked quite well. Because you'll make the most money in the first few weeks.
Well, there's nothing worse than a guy becoming available and you can't afford them.
Yep.
Especially early on when you really don't want to miss out.
Or when you put someone in your team that's much cheaper that doesn't do well and you need to upgrade straight away.
Yeah. I've got a lot of cheap guys in there too.
So that's looking pretty good, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, I could have probably sacrificed to Power and gone with put Fanua Blake on the field, got another rookie, and then upgraded Cook to Cam Smith.
Problem with the front row is there's not much available.
Yeah.
And if you go cheap guys that don't perform, you're going to need that extra money on the bench because there's no one really to go to unless you get the top guys. So having some money in the front row is probably not a horrible strategy in case you need to change it straight away.
And if you get stuck with mid-rangers who aren't performing, they're so hard to get rid of, and they'll just drag your team down.
Yep. In saying that, that's not what I've done, but I'll be reconsidering after Rayner has kindly provided this information.
Rayner's bludgers round one, not looking solid, but room for improvement. Rayner's bludgers.
Cool.
Well, what's your team, mate?
I plan to handle the fantasy fruiterer. So, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably knew that already. My 5 followers would have known that. And hopefully now the intro to the fantasy flog makes a bit more sense with me holding the tray of nectarines.
And me being the champion holding the trophy.
2016 would have been a different picture altogether. I would have had to hold a trophy and nectarines. But anyway. Monday to Friday, I'm JL, and then over the weekends when the footy kicks in, I'll become the fantasy fruiterer.
Like a superhero?
No, nothing like a superhero. I have no real superpowers other than I enjoy throwing fruit puns into conversations.
It's not a superpower at all.
Quite useless. But we probably won't have a mushroom for that today anyway.
I got nothing. That's just not even.
Okay, for those who haven't signed up for fantasy, now's the time. Jump on NRL.com. You can sign up there, or go on the App Store, get the app, NRL Fantasy. So you can play along at home, and we've got a league code which we'll have down in the description.
Yep.
So you can play along with us and test yourself against the best. I want to say best, but sort of middle of the road kind of guys.
Against some guys.
Yeah, but cool.
Okay, so lastly on the show, we'll have a bit of a talk about bench strategy.
Yeah, I think we mentioned before there's an 8-man ranked bench and the 1 to 4 scores count. But what we didn't mention was that if a player gets injured and doesn't take the field before you're able to sub it, you will automatically bring in the highest ranking sub of the same position. That's important. Because in years gone past, it'll just be your lowest scoring sub from the whole team.
Yeah.
But this one, you've got to have the same position. So it's vital that you have all positions covered on your bench. Otherwise, you might get in a situation where you'll get a 0 or you'll be forced to trade to get the points.
Yeah, so for example, if you have Cam Smith as your hooker and no hookers on the bench,
yep.
If he gets injured, you just get a 0 and you don't want a 0.
Yep. So that's a little bit different, and we need to cover that off. So you can cover all 6 positions with 6 spots if you like, or you can use less by using dual position players. So DPP, utilising this is a very important strategy because it allows you to free up more spots for other value buys from any position that you want. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to, like in years gone past, you don't have to have 2 centres, 2 wing fullbacks, 2 half reserves. So if you use DPP, you can free up spots for value wherever you see it.
Well, there's plenty of opportunities for that too, because you've got guys like Cartwright, who's a half and a second row. There's heaps of wing fullbacks and centres, and a lot of front row, second row forwards. So it's easy to do.
Yeah, it depends on who you're looking at. You can do it in 3 positions if you like. There's heaps of half hookers, heaps of front row, second rows, heaps of centre wing fullbacks. So you can do it in 3, which will free up 5 spots for value wherever you see it. I don't know. It depends, like I said, what players you're looking at. I think for my bench, I'll be looking at 4 DPPs to cover most of the positions, and then 4 I want for value. And we'll throw up a picture of that.
I didn't really put in many at all. As long as you've got guys on your bench that can cover it, my whole strategy is, for building the bench, is have guys in there that you want in your team anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, don't put in a guy just because they're dual position.
Yep.
If they're not a guy that you would have picked.
Yep.
You'll just regret it, and every time they score poorly, you'll get upset.
Yep. Yeah, so just want to recap on that. Cover all positions. DPP is pretty important, and utilise it to free up spots for value buys, so you can make more money.
Making money.
Advanced strategy. We haven't touched on this at all, and the start of the season is probably not the time to.
Yeah, I think in the next few weeks we'll talk more about loopholes, captaincy loopholes, and substitution loopholes as well.
Yeah, there's going to be some opportunity through the year to mess around with your bench a little bit. It takes a little bit of planning, which is the most annoying part. But at the start of the year, I'd be looking to fill up all your spots with playing guys, so you can try and make as much money. Because the start of the year is where you make the most amount of money on you guys. So you might be able to fall into a situation later in the year where you've got a non-playing reserve, NPR, and then you might be able to do some funky stuff then. And I think we'll talk about it later in the year.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for today's show. What are we up to next week, Rayner?
Next week, team list for round 1 will be out. So we'll run through who gets named and then start looking at who's going to be the best players to put in our teams.
Yep. Sweet.
Looking forward to round 1, game 1.
Not long, guys.
Bye.
Cool.
Thanks for watching the show. If you like that, you can check out one of our other videos over here. You can subscribe, I think it'll be down here. Or at least leave a comment down the bottom. See you next time.
See ya.
Cool.
Cool.